Win the weight, Doc Rivers believes the Clippers can. Joba Buhar, The Athletic. The smile and the politician-like charisma and the gravitas in press conferences and interviews tell one story. But Doc Rivers considers himself an introvert and a learner when he's not in the public eye. He likes to golf, eat at nice restaurants, and is jovial with the media and the public. But Rivers identifies more as a recluse. He typically keeps to himself and rarely leaves his hotel room on the road. He reads every text but doesn't respond to all of them. The past few weeks dealing with the fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic have been trying for Rivers, just as they have been for the rest of the Clippers, the NBA, and the world. Self-isolation has stretched Rivers outside of his comfort zone. Pausing a season just as his team was hitting its stride and forcing him to prioritize constant communication with his players and coaching staff on foreign platforms like Zoom. Rivers and the Clippers president of basketball operations, Lawrence Frank, estimate Rivers makes more calls now than he did during the season, all in the name of preserving the structure and the continuity the Clippers had spent so much time building over the course of the 2019-20 season. Going online and doing these Zooms and calling and texting, that's unnatural for me to do, especially to the level that I'm doing it. Rivers told a small group of LA reporters on a video conference call on Wednesday afternoon. But because we are not in the gym together and we don't spend those 5 and 6 hours together as a staff every day, I know it's important that we do. There is no coaching or organizational playbook for the current break in the NBA schedule. Players are home alone, some by themselves, with a makeshift home gyms and endless free time. A few Clippers players have basketball hoops or courts available, but some of those baskets are hoops in backyards, far from the ideal circumstances to stay in rhythm with the player's shot and handle. Some players are more isolated than others, and Rivers Frank, general manager Michael Winger, and the rest of the coaching and the training staff, including strength coaches Todd Wright and Daniel Shapiro, have made a concerted effort to check in with multiple players once a day via text, phone call, FaceTime, and Zoom. Wright and Shapiro, along with the strength and performance staffers Brent Tanaka and Randy Shelton, have led workout sessions on Zoom, sometimes with up to 9 or 10 players at a time. Rivers has a list of the team's players that he checks on each day, reaching out to 3 or 4 players in a day and then marking down who he has spoken to and when. He plans to continue to use video chatting instead of texting or calling in the future with his players, as it's led to more in-depth conversations that delve deeper than the surface-level conversation that can occur when people aren't face-to-face. There are certain guys that you find that need more, Rivers said. Certain players need more communications. Some of these guys are young and at home alone. They just need to hear a voice, and a lot of times it's my voice. So I'm trying to take that void for them. The Clippers tried to take a proactive approach to the NBA's postponement after Rudy Gobert tested positive for coronavirus on March 11. Following the stoppage, Frank and the organization's performance and medical staff assembled to discuss the next steps in the team season. With the Steve Ballmer's blessing, they decided to close the training facility, hoping to prevent and limit any potential spread of COVID-19, and to quickly put a plan in motion to get each of their players a home gym. that they could use to train and stay in shape while in self-isolation. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach, said Frank, who is at his home in New Jersey with his wife and children. Each player is completely different, so they each have different equipment and different tools. Rivers and his coaching staff have been holding 2 or 3 calls a week on Zoom. Rivers credited Frank for suggesting and encouraging the use of the platform. The coaching staff is using the postponement as an opportunity to evaluate where the team is at the 40 at the 64 game mark and what they can improve on if the season resumes at some point in the future. The Clippers have already identified 3 potential opponents that they believe they could realistically face in the first round of the 2020 playoffs and are scouting and preparing for those particular matchups. More working going into that than ever, Rivers said. Few, if any, basketball staffs work harder than the Clippers, but the group has had to take a step back to make sure they are prioritizing the health and safety of each employee and their families. Within those lines, though, the Clippers also have an opportunity to grow and improve the way they operate. Already, Rivers has empowered his staff to be more vocal in meetings, letting his assistant coaches and sports and analysts lead team debriefings. Listen, you almost have no choice right now at Betterment, Rivers said. This is the way I'm looking at this. This is our first Betterment camp. This is what we are trying to do, and that is what I'm trying to do with my staff. And I think it's been good for them, and I'm letting them lead a lot. I know where I'm going with each team. I have given each guy assignments, and then when we get on these Zooms, I let them do it. The Clippers are one of a handful teams in the NBA with realistic championship aspirations. At the time of the NBA's postponement, the Clippers had won 7 of their last 8 games and were finally gelling after a season full of injuries, leading the NBA in record and net rating over that stretch. With so much uncertainty around the return of the season, one of Rivers' goals has been to keep his players and staff motivated, including a new catchphrase, "Win the Wet," which symbolizes the Clippers' championship pursuit and their ability to stay in superior shape and outlast their competition as the work stoppage drags on. I'm trying to get my guys to understand 2 things, that our goals haven't changed, and the second thing is, we can't use whatever happens when we come out of this as the reason we don't win, Rivers said. So we have to be mentally prepared for something different, something strange, like an NCAA tournament style or a 3-game series. Those are just dangerous. Anybody can win those things, or a 5-game series. You just got to be prepared for it, and you are in the same boat. We use this phrase, "win the weight." Upon rewatching film of the season and poring over box scores and statistical trends, Rivers has a better grasp on where his team was at the 3-quarter mark of the season and where they could be if the season continues. We were really good, Rivers said. I'm shortening that because what I know for real were the last 10 games. We were turning into the Clippers, if you know what I mean. You could literally feel it. Our guys could feel it. We started understanding each other. We started down the stretch of games. We were playing seamlessly through Kawhi and PG, you know. It wasn't forced anymore. Guys weren't trying to stay out of each other's way. You could feel the rhythm. Even the Lakers loss where we, in my opinion, played horrendous in that game, and that was one of our step-back games. And even in that game, we still had a chance, and it was our D game, you know. Rivers has long struggled with overscoring and overanalyzing the information available to him from his staff during the season, whether it be in the form of analytics on lineups and rotations, or film breakdowns on offensive or defensive stats. The break in the season has made his consumption of said information much worse. It has provided some reflection and self-evaluation, leading to 3 revelations about his court. The one thing I didn't think we did enough of, and unfortunately, it's hard to, we didn't place more at the center spot very often, Rivers said. But in the few games, or the few moments that we did, we were lethal. Jamaica did it against Oklahoma, I think in that run when Trace got hurt and we never got a chance to put Marcus at the 5, which we thought, and then the lineups that we can put on the floor with that. We didn't know how Reggie would fit, and watching him with that second unit, it's virtually done exactly we hoped it would do. It's taken Low off the ball. I thought Low was struggling a little bit, being the primary ball handler. He had to bring the ball up to the floor and score. And then, the third thing I think, more with that second group, when Sham had to go back to the second unit and Low was the point guard. There was not a lot of movement for Sham. When Reggie has the ball and you have Sham and Low, Sham now can get involved and Low will still be Low. That lineup hasn't touched what it's gonna be. It's funny. They've been together, I guess, in some ways, the longest, except for Reggie. But the Reggie component makes that group better. But they're not even near where they are gonna be. And that was encouraging to watch. At this point, Rivers will take a resume season in any form, with or without fans, at Staples Centers or in Las Vegas in June or July. He just wants to coach and draw up plays again. My only opinion on it is that if it means we get to play and continue our pursuit for the goal that we want, I feel like one of the Dr. Caesar's titles. I will play anywhere. I will play in a house, I will play in a mouse, Rivers says. That's how you feel. I think that's how our teams feel. We don't care where, when, why, what. We just want to go after our goal. I'm speaking by myself on that, but that's how I feel about it. To pass that time, Rivers has been working out more, including riding his Peloton bike and playing virtual golf in his basement. He has kept NBA TV on in the background, which led to him rewatching the broadcast versions of Celtics games from the 2008 and 2010 NBA Finals, something he hadn't done yet. As the uncertainty around the season continues with no clear resolution in sight, Rivers refuses to accept the new normal. Being away from basketball is anything but normal for him. He's itching to get back to the gym, to get back to his players and coaches and staff. I do not use that term, Rivers said, because I don't think that is normal. I just call it the new now, for right now. Hopefully this is temporary.